Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and I hope you're all doing well on this Friday afternoon. We've made it through the week. I'm excited for the weekend. It's a long weekend here in the United States. Definitely get some time off and rest. A big hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone joining here on Behance. Ruth and Ankita, Cody, Marcia, Area 52, and who else do we have in here? Miriam. Great to see all of you. If you're tuning in live, let me know in the chat who you are and where you're tuning in from. Joss says the Adobe Live intros are always so uplifting. Indeed, they are. Hey, Aubrey, great to see you. Nushin from Toronto, Brett from Canada, and I know Anita and Marcia are also from Canada. We've got all of Canada again. Roxana from Ireland, great to see you. All right, so yes, Nushin, happy Lunar New Year. Year of the Ox is upon us. So if you're celebrating, happy New Year. Hope you take some time off and relax as well. All right, so we are at the end of the latest round of Daily Creative Challenges. I'm sad, I know, but another set is just a few weeks away and I'm gonna be hosting that. And it's gonna be all about web design. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This round has been all about mobile design. Next one, web design, shaking things up a little bit. So let's go ahead and hop over to my screen. Head on over to behance.net/challenge/XD. Find all the information about the Daily Creative Challenge. There is a big blue register button at the top. We're coming to the end of this set. You can still participate until February 26th. Of course, you can work on these for as long as you need to, but if you want to get them in on time so we can take a look at them in Discord or on Behance, February 26th is what you want to aim for. So every single day, you're going to receive one of these challenges, Monday to Friday, except the first Monday. You can join us in our Discord community chat. We have over just about 60,000 designers in Discord. So many people, we have over 1,800 online right now. You can get information about the challenges, updates, news, talk with fellow designers, ask questions, share tips and tricks. A lot of great channels in here. In addition to the challenge channel, you can hop in there right over here, share your work, get feedback, give feedback if you feel comfortable. It's a wonderful community. All right, so you can also watch us live. I am live during these challenges at 2 o'clock Pacific time. And we have content all day. Usually on Fridays, we have masterclasses, Photoshop, photography, illustration, a lot of different things, and of course Adobe XD. But today we technically have the day off, but I did jump on to wrap things up here. But next Friday we're going to be back with more masterclasses, including XD, so stay tuned for that. All right, very quick recap. We started off this process last Tuesday by building out the profile page for this mobile app. We moved on to explore scroll groups and how they can help you build scrollable content, both horizontally and vertically. We built out a friends feed using repeat grids. We designed and prototyped a really fun and interactive emoji picker using nested components. 3D transforms to build out a stories experience. Messages using stacks and padding. Navigation bar. That was a disaster of a stream, but that's okay. There's a video for that. Using component states, video calling using audio playback, and today we're going to be exploring animated elements. And very quickly, one last reminder, if you missed any of the live streams, you can not only go ahead and watch the live streams right here, but if you want a more condensed version of this content, youtube.com/Howard Pinsky. I have videos for all the challenges except today's challenge. So we have the profile all the way up to yesterday, building a video call experience, and they're quite a bit more condensed. Most of them are at least half, 13 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. So if you want more condensed, head on over there and watch those videos. All right, so go ahead and hit that Get Started button, and let's hop over to Adobe XD. Now, if you have been participating in the challenges over the last 2 weeks, you can definitely, like I'm going to do in just a moment, use the content that you've been designing, right? But if not, you can still follow along and create some of the things that we're going to be doing today. So again, the challenge prompt is we're going to be designing interactive animated elements, such as buttons and progress circles using Auto-Animate, and of course components and states. Here's some inspiration, some information down here, and like I mentioned, I'm going to be using the designs and elements that I've been designing over the last 2 weeks during these challenges, but you can definitely start from scratch if you want to. So what I was thinking is we built out this navigation bar in one of the previous challenges, and we have this nice large plus button at the top of it. And you can take a look in the properties inspector. It's a component, and we have all our various states for home, videos, trophies, users, and a blank state. And then inside of this, we have an add button, which right now is just a circle with a bit of a plus button made up of 2 lines. I would love to build this out into sort of like a fab menu, a floating action button. That's what it stands for. So we're going to start with that. And I've built out fab menus before during challenges and master classes, and I think I have a video on it as well. So some of you may have seen it, but many of you may have not. So what we're going to do is we want to start, because we want this inside of this particular navigation bar's component, we want to find the main component, because this one right here is an instance. So I'm going to right click and edit main component. Phew, there it is. Hello. Now, inside of this, there's a few things we can do, but probably the easiest solution is to also turn this plus button, this add button, into a component itself. Now you're going to notice if I go ahead and either right click and then press make component, or do that within the properties inspector or the assets, you're going to notice that by default, because this component was created inside of a larger component, it's a nested component, it's an instance. And that's the way, that's the way designers prefer it. Initially, back in the day, we had it that main components can be built inside of larger components. It was a bit confusing, so we made this change. So keep that in mind. What you want to do is now edit the main component of this nested component. It can get a bit tricky, but follow along. Now, to help us really build this out, the main component's right down here. I'm just going to pop it right up here, just so that we can see this, how it's going to look as we're designing. All right, so we have our main component for the add button, and I can go ahead and hide the navigation bar if I want to, just to keep things nice and clean. And now what I want to do is I want to start building out the various elements that are going to appear when this button is pressed. So I'm going to dive in here, double click into this component, and I do have these elements, which I'm going to go ahead and group some of these. I'll just call this plus. There we go. And we have this button in the background. I can just call this button. Now, if I want to, I can also group these two as well, just to keep things really organized. And what I want to do now is create a few additional buttons that's going to fly out when this button is pressed. So I'm going to start with my good old ellipse tool, draw one out just like that. And maybe we'll give it a little bit of a different color. We have this beautiful pinkish purple gradient over here. Maybe we want to go blue possibly, right? So I'm going to click on the fill right over here, and we're going to change this to, let's see, a linear gradient. And maybe the top color will be this nice aqua. We'll see what that looks like. And the bottom will be more of a navy. We can definitely change this as we go, but that looks pretty interesting, right? It looks okay. Now, you're noticing probably that it's blending a little bit with some of the elements in the background. We're going to get to that in a moment, but for now, we're going to leave it as is. It's a nice color, right? All right, so on the inside of this, we want, yeah, I agree, Cody, nice blue combo. So on the inside, we want an icon, and there's going to be a few of these buttons. I'm going to hop over to Nucleo. It's a third-party icon manager, and I do have the Font Awesome icons loaded in here. Of course, you can use the Icons for Design plugin that I've shown off a few times during this challenge. And, well, we have video already typed in here, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it. Now, these icons from Font Awesome are large, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this down and pop it in the center of this icon. There we go. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to make sure to group these. I'll just call this video, and I'll duplicate this over to the right so we can create another one. And maybe we want a photo. So we can add a video, we can add photos, copy, and paste. Yeah, it's large. Whew. Bring it on down. Make sure it's approximately the same size. delete the video one, and call this photo. All right. Now, the next one, we might want also the ability to create possibly a written post. So let's type out maybe pen. This one's interesting over here. Or yeah, okay. I was also thinking we mold it to maybe a chat experience so you can start a new message. I don't know if that would make sense because on the navigation bar there is, I believe, I could be wrong, but there should be a way to chat. So we'll stick with this. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Perfect. This will be called post, and then we'll do one more, maybe to create a GIF, because you know what? Everyone needs a good GIF in their lives. Paste it. If anyone from Nucleo is watching, I doubt it, but if anyone from Nucleo is watching, I would love the ability, because, you know, Font Awesome, the icons are 512 pixels wide, I believe, or the longest side is 512. I would love the ability when I copy, if there was a way to just change it, and this is the beta version of the newest application, but just change it to like 24 or 48 pixels so it doesn't come in as like this massive icon. All right, so we've got all of our options. I'm gonna call this GIF, ready to go. Perfect. So now what we wanna do, on this initial view, they're not gonna be visible. So we're gonna make sure that the add button within the layers panel is on top of all of these options here. And we just wanna make sure that they're all nicely hidden. So I'm just gonna overlap them like this. I'm gonna select them all inside of the layers panel and just move it on back. There we go. Perfect. All right, so our first state is complete, which is our default state. And Kita's saying the pen could be to create a meme. Possibly. You can also do that with the GIF option as well. All right, so we have our first state and our default state complete. Now, we want to create an additional state, and that's done within the Properties Inspector. Press the plus button, create a new state. You can also create hover states. They're not really applicable on a mobile device like this. You could use them to mimic what maybe a long press could feel like. You could do that, but we're gonna go ahead and create a new state, and we're gonna call this expanded. There we go. Perfect. So we have our expanded state, and now what we're gonna do, we're gonna dive in here and we're going to make the change. So I'm gonna open up the state or the component, grab all these items, bring them on out, and now we can start rearranging them, right? So maybe the GIF will be on this side, the post will be over here, photo, video, right? Let's go ahead and just make sure that they're all nicely aligned. I'll pull these up a little bit, maybe use responsive resize to pull them out. I think I have responsive oh, I have auto, okay, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. I forgot to set my, that's okay. I'm gonna pull this out a little bit, pull this. Doesn't have to be perfect. And make sure these are centered. There we go. All right, so if we take a look at the play button at the top, we can definitely sort of see the icons down at the bottom, right? They are there, and there's our interactive emoji picker that we created. So those icons are there, but they're a little bit difficult to see, especially against that very colored background. So what we're gonna do, and one of the cool things about using component states is that if you just want an object to fade in and out, you don't necessarily have to have that object on both your default state and your secondary state. Sometimes it helps, but sometimes doesn't make a difference. So inside of our expanded state, I'm gonna grab a rectangle and draw one out across my entire artboard like that. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna call this overlay. I'm gonna make sure it's behind all of our icons. And then in terms of the styling, I'm gonna first set the color to a pure black. And we could go ahead and drop the opacity a little bit. Looks okay. Or, I know some of you are like, there it is, Umacorn, background blur. Yeah, why not, right? Now, for this one, usually I recommend grabbing the blur and cranking it all the way up. But I kind of want the ability to see much of the information behind it. So I'm gonna leave the background blur a little bit lower so that we can see it. I'm gonna drop the brightness to around 0. There we go. And then I wanna bring back some of the color from the fill, right? So in this case, it's this black. I'm gonna drag it on over, just about there. Maybe I can drop the blur a little bit more, just so it's a little bit blurry, but it looks still pretty good. Asan, if I mispronounced your name, I apologize. You're watching live for the first time. Thanks for joining. I appreciate that. Now, once we have this, we can go ahead and experiment if we want to by, adjusting, maybe adding gradient. So maybe the bottom color, maybe it'll have a little bit of like pink in it. And the top color, we can always, drop the opacity a touch. I don't know, have fun with it, because we're really focusing on the bottom section, right? I don't know, it could work, right? But the important thing is that these icons, now we can see them a little bit better. And I think Cody mentioned a drop shadow before. You can absolutely do that as well. Put a very subtle drop shadow behind these icons. That works, but I think this could do. We're gonna see what it looks like, all right? So with the component selected now, we have our default state and we have our expanded state. And now we wanna make sure to wire this up. And again, we wanna make sure that we are on our main state, or main component, when we're wiring this up. So we're gonna hop into prototype mode. We do have our default state active and the entire component selected. We're gonna click on the blue handle over to the right, just like that. And in the properties inspector, we're gonna choose tap for the trigger. We're gonna make sure to choose our destination under destination, which is our expanded state, right? And then ease in and out should work. Or maybe we can do snap. Let's try snap and see what that looks like. Duration, let's try 0.6 seconds. Aubrey says, would love the ability to see what state I'm working in when deep nest. Yes, I completely agree. And I believe that's something the team is actively tracking. I'm not sure if they're actively developing it, but it's something they want to do as soon as possible. And it's I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's definitely easier than, like, let's say time triggers on components, which they also want to get to. But, hopefully we'll see that at some point. All right, so we have that done. And now from the expanded state, we can go ahead and select the same icon, click, and then go back to our default state. And what we can also do, just to really help users understand that they can click on or tap on this icon again, is maybe we can just rotate this plus button a little bit, just so it looks like an X. We can make it bigger. Let me dive in here. Select these, make them a little, whoop. I have responsive resize. Oh, I see what's going on. I see. Nope. Let me go back to my default state, into the add button, the plus. Okay, that should do. Let's try that again. Aha. Nope, okay. It's not resizing. Oh, fix width and fix height keeps going back on. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening, but okay. I will ignore that. It's an X. It should do, right? I'm also gonna drop the opacity a little bit of this icon, just like that. All right, so we have our default state and we have our expanded state. And remember, we had this add button nested inside of the navigation bar, then we edited the main component. So what we can do is just hide this or delete it completely. And if we unhide the navigation bar, right in here is that nested component, and we have our expanded state and our default state. So it's all there waiting for us, right? Perfect. All right, so let's see this in action. If I press the play button at the top, I can click to open and click again to close. Woo, look at that. And we have that lovely background blur fading in and out. And of course you can, use these specific icons to wire up to different screens. You can build nested components inside of this nested component so that when you press on, let's say, this photo icon, maybe a little camera pops up, or maybe if you press on this one here, there might be a very quick way to create a post, like a text post, for example. So things you can do, right? Fun little animated element. And it's nested inside of this navigation bar. So if I go over this one here, we have the exact same thing. So they follow us wherever we go. And if we need to make changes across all of them, we just have to edit the main component. Let's say, for example, we don't like that when it's the closed state, we don't like when the opacity is a little bit lower. Edit main component, view, right over here, expanded, select, bump it up to 100%. And that looks a little bit better, right? Fancy Friday indeed. All right, let's do one more animated element before we wrap things up. Maybe on this particular icon, if I dive in here, this is inside of a repeat grid. We may want some fun effect when you press challenge. It's just gonna show maybe a green button that you have challenged this user. So this is a component already. I've already created a component. I have different states for it. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure to edit the main component because it is nested inside of a repeat grid. And for this one, I'm thinking maybe have like a little bit of a liquid effect. And we're running out of time, so we're gonna do this very quickly. So we're gonna have basically two different versions of this inside of it. I'm gonna duplicate this text layer, and this will be challenged. And then, let me hide this for now. And then over to the left, we might want a check mark. And of course you can do that with your grid. I can't, oh yeah, I'm not on an artboard. Okay, that's fine. That'll do. If I was on an artboard, I can turn on my grid, but I will just hop over to Nucleo, type out check, find a check mark, paste. Again, very large icon. Bring it on down. Pop it here, move it in the center. And then I also want a green background. So I'm gonna duplicate this shape, change the color to green. Something like that. It's an interesting color, green. I'm not sure I love it, but we're gonna run with it because we're running out of time. And then I wanna make sure to group all of these elements that are part of this green. So this will be challenged. I spelled that completely wrong. There we go. And now what we don't want this to be seen initially. Of course, you can do a toggle, green to red and green to red, right? We want to get a bit fancy with this. So I'm going to very quickly drag out a rectangle. And I want to curve this rectangle a little bit. So I'm going to double click on it to access the path. Add a point here, add a point here. Double click on the points. It is avocado green, I agree. And we're going to make this lovely curve just like that. And we want to make sure to mask it. So with this curve selected, I'm going to also select the layer right here, the group, object, mask with shape, challenged. And we're going to dive in, grab that path and move it upwards so that when we click off of it, it looks like we didn't do anything, right? But what we want to do now is set up the next state that reveals challenged. So we're going to press the plus button, new state, challenged, right? We're going to dive in here. We're going to grab that path, move it on down till it covers the entire icon. And we can also adjust the curve so that it animates as it's coming down, right? Just like that. So we have our default state and our challenge state. And now we want to make sure to wire this up, just like we did previously with the fab menu. So we're going to hop into prototype mode. We're going to click on this entire component. We're going to choose the challenge state. Auto-Animate is wonderful. Ease in and out probably will work best. Let's try 1 second, might be a little bit too long. And then from the challenge state, we can go back. Now for this one, we probably don't need any animation to go up, right? It's not that exciting. So we're going to go to default state, transition with no animation. And if all went well, we should be able to go over here. There's my grid. Dive in here, look at the button, and we have our challenge state. Now it's a little bit larger because of that mask, so it's pushing things around a little bit. That'll only push things around in design mode. It won't actually do it in prototyping. But if we press play, let me zoom in here so you can see it, and woo, look at that. And we can click and just keep doing it. And because it's in a repeat grid, we can go through and challenge all of our friends. Look at that. Isn't that fancy? It's fancy for Fancy Friday. All right, my friends, that is going to wrap it up for today. And it's also going to wrap it up for the latest round of Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenges. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be back, I think in 2 weeks. I better get moving on the templates and all the videos with another set all about web design. Big thank you to everyone who has participated and joined me during these challenges. Marsha and Aubrey and Ruth and Cody and Umacorn, Helene, great to see all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Helene says, seems so easy, But no, but it is. Once you practice, keep on practicing. I can do this stuff in my sleep now. And that's not to make me seem like I'm the best at this. I've just practiced a lot. And I guarantee you, if you practice, you can do all this stuff too. Guarantee it. Tweet me once you do it. Do it. All right, everyone. Big thank you. I'll see you all later.